Hello all, I am back to give an overview of TradingView and specifically my setup. So my indicators as well as what charts I'm using during charting and what charts I'm using during live monitoring of my trades. So yeah, I've been getting a lot of questions about this, so I wanted to make this video for you all. So let's start by looking at this 3-minute chart here. So the 3-minute chart is a chart that I will typically use to get a more precise entry for, really any type of trade. But where it is most useful is if I'm scalping early morning in the day. I like to wait for the third 3-minute candle to form, and typically, I will have target entries and target exits or stops placed on a higher time frame like the daily. But I will use the 3-minute to see, where I'm tracking against that entry, and then use the information on this page to, make a decision. So for this 3-minute chart, there is a lot going on. So let's talk about the lines first. So you'll see if I kind of scale this down and do this, each kind of, break that you see and start between these set of lines, that's a whole new day. So this is the 3-minute chart for 9-3, and this here is the 3-minute chart for 9-2. So if we I'm just going to make it smaller and kind of scroll them, you can see, which days we had, large, tight range of trading, or where we had a larger range, and that's just based off of where these lines print and draw themselves. So the yellow line here, you can see it turns green once it gets crossed, but these two yellow lines, the top and bottom, so similarly here, it turned red because on this day, price crossed below this range. So this is the opening range plot. This plot based off of the first 30 minutes of the trading day, the high and the low. So this is the low of the first 30 minutes of the trading day, and this is the high here. And that helps you track breakouts. Obviously, price can be moving above your entry target even before they've broken out of, the range of the first 30 minutes of the day. They might make that move prior to the first 30 minutes of the day, in which case, this is a little less useful. But the range breakout just gives you another indication. You should still always use your Strat entries and exits and tight stops. However, these can act as support and resistance to tell you to stay in a trade, or, can give you a more precise entry to get into a trade. If this line, if the entry based on the strat is like, here, 218.66, you might get in at 218.44 when it crosses this opening range breakout and use that as support. So with that said, sometimes it's useful to have an indication of, what was the average range that the stock was trading in for the previous days to see if it's breaking out of that. Because the opening range is only taking into account the first 30 minutes of that trading day. It's not taking into account previous days and what that average range looked like. So that's what the white and the blue lines are here. So the white lines are the lower half of the average daily range for the previous 5 and the previous 10 trading days. The previous 5, let's scroll down a little. That's fine, we'll use the blue. So there's the white, that's the lower half, and then the blue is the top half of the range of the average daily range of the previous 5 and 10 trading days. So the 5 is the thinner line here, and the 10 is the thicker line here. So for the previous 5 trading days, the stock had an average range between whatever this white value is, like around 210.06 and 216.25. Now, if we use this, how I use this to trade is you can see here. Let's kind of talk through how I might have traded this live. I did not trade Etsy yesterday because I am filming this on Saturday, September 4th. So this is Friday, September 3rd's trading day. So we had a 3, we had a 2 up, failed, red, and we had a 2 down. So if I'm waiting for the third candle to form and I'm looking for this, to go long on this, I'm not going to, get in here. I would get in on this next reversal. So this 2-2 bullish reversal to the upside, I get in right here, and it'd be easy holding, easy holding, easy holding, easy holding, easy holding. Okay, we have a red, failed 2 up. Probably still hold through that, still hold through that. We have a 2 down, but it ends as a hammer. So I'd very likely still hold for that. And then you see here we have these, we do get 2-1-2 bearish continuation with this additional 2 down here. But I would very likely hold through this because I would be, well, first of all, if I was using same day expiration, because this was a Friday, I would have taken profit still. But if this was not a Friday, I would have very easily just continued to hold using this line as support. So seeing that we had a very small, obviously this is based off of how I'm looking at it though, but, we barely dropped outside of the range here of the previous inside candle. We had a drop here. I very likely would have sold some of my position here, but again, ended as a hammer. One of the things I try to do is make sure that the full candle forms. So in this case, not right when it goes 2 down, but wait until that candle forms. So on this second 2 down, I would have taken some profit, potentially all of it. Ideally, I wouldn't if I'm using these lines properly. But I guess what I really wanted to say here is even if I miss this reversal, so this 2-2 reversal to the upside, using these average daily range, when it crossed here, sometimes I'll go in and I'll just put in my alerts at these points. So at the point of crossing the average daily range for the previous 5 trading days, I might just put an alert there. Or I might just put one at the average daily range for the previous 10 trading days. So I would have gotten in around here, in which case I very likely would have taken if not majority of my profit after this second 2 down. But that would have been let's see, 216.66 to 216.69. I honestly can't say what that profit would be, but if it were weeklies and Friday, could be a significant percentage for such a small price move. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the 2 indicators that I just went through. So I went through the opening range, which plots the lower and upper range of the first 30 minutes of the trading day. And another thing it does, which I did not state, these orange lines here, so those are the only lines we haven't talked about. Based off of that opening range, it plots 2 price targets that are, I think half of what that range is plus the full range plotted. So half of what that range is to the upside plus the full range of what that opening range is to the upside plotted, and the same to the downside. So this orange line here, that is part of the, bearish plot for half the range, is being a bit obscured by the average daily range white, which again is the lower half of the range that the price was in for the previous 5 and previous 10 trading days. So it's cool to see that overlap too. It's cool to see that this blue the average daily range for the previous 5 and 10 trading days. It crossed over that ahead of, the first 30 minutes of the trading day. So this is how I use those. So let's go and take a look at those. So first, let's look at actually, I'm going to show you all so this is the opening range breakout plus 2 profit targets. That's that orange line, the orange line profit target, and the yellow line marking the high and low of the first 30 minutes of the trading day. So we're going to take a look at this. So I will make sure to include a link in the description of this video for you all. Just pulling this into a new window so I can easily grab it. But here you'll get a nice explanation of what's happening, the person who made it. You can check out their other scripts, and yeah, I don't think there's too much else I want to say about this. I do want to acknowledge that I am on the paid plan, one of the paid plans of TradingView. I recall pretty sure I was able to use these scripts, even being on the free plan when I was on the free plan. So let me know in the comments if you have issues with that, and I'll see what I had to do to be able to do that. But you shouldn't have issues with that. Okay, next up is the average daily range, the previous 5 and 10 trading days, high and low, like we talked about. So I'm going to pull that one up right now so we can take a look. And again, I'll grab the link and have it for you all in the description. So I'm just going to copy this link here, pull it into a new tab, and I'll have that for you all. So in this case, they're talking about the low range as the buy and the sell, the higher range as the sell. I don't think of it as buy and sell. I more think of it as support and resistance and, breaking out of those areas. So they do mark that. And again, you can see the script here. You can see the person who created it, look at their other scripts, and just get a description of this. And I'll have this linked in the description of this video. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the settings of each of these. So first, let's take a look at the setting of the opening range plus targets. So this is not default settings, so I changed this to the yellow for the lines, and then to change to red or green based off of breaking out high or low. And I don't remember how these are being used, but you can see here I have yellow, green, or orange, green. This is the profit targets. So for the profit targets, I have them as orange, and then if I cross them, they're green. That is interesting that it's not, because I'm pretty sure when I cross below, when I cross below, I'm green as well, because that's a profit target. It only turns red when it crosses below the opening range, and it only turns green. It turns green when it crosses above the opening range, but it also turns green for any of the profit targets. So for instance, this day with Etsy, you can kind of see it in the background here. It turned red when it crossed through the bottom half of that opening range, and then it turned green when it hit both profit targets. And then it'll plot a 1 or a 2. You can see it very finely here above the bar when it either gets the upside or downside of those 2 profit targets. And then I do have the range being filled with a light gray at 16% opacity. So that is that light gray you see filled there. And then, this was all default, but I'll let you see this as well. So if you're interested in matching my criteria, my parameters, go ahead and look here. I also use the first 30 minutes This allows you to change that to a plethora of options, but I use the first 30 minutes. Okay, so that was the opening range plus targets. Let's take a look at this high and low average daily range settings. So for this one, I use white for the low, and I use blue for the high, and then the difference in how you distinguish the previous 5 days data versus the previous 10 days data is the thickness of the line. So for the 10, I use this thickness, and for the lows, I use this thickness, so you'll get that thinner line. And then for the background, I'm using white at 18% opacity, and that is the background in between the high 5 and high 10. So if you notice, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a little blue plot in here, and there's a little white plot in between those lines. So if I go back to that, you'll see for the blue, I do 8% blue opacity, and that's how I get that. It looks like I have it on default precision, and then I didn't touch these visibilities either. So those are my settings for average daily range. Okay, so those are both of my non-Strat indicators. So let's talk through the Strat indicators now. And for that, I'm actually going to turn off opening range plus targets, and I'm going to turn off this average daily range here. So we're just going to look at the Strat indicators, and I'm going to go to a day plot as well. So this is one candle per each day now that we're looking at. Okay, so there's a bit going on here. So let's start by indicator. So the first indicator I have is the TheStratHelper. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this just to show what changes when I hide it and how I'm using it. Okay, so it looks like that changed the colors and the plotting of the inside candles in the threes. So you notice this 3, which takes out both the high and low of its previous candle, is not plotted, is not indicated. And then this inside candle here, which stays inside the previous range, inside the range of the previous candle, is not indicated. So I use the TheStratHelper not to give me the ups and downs, but to give me the labeling of the inside candles, the labeling of the threes, and the changing of those colors. So I like my threes to have a kind of distinct look. So in this case, they are purple with this teal outside, and that teal outside indicates that it is a 3 that was that closed higher than it opened. So it opened here and it closed here, and that is what's giving us that purple and teal color. And then the 3 is plotted in a teal. If we look at a 3 that opened and closed down, so it opened here and it closed here, it plots that with a red outline and a pink inside. And it's still giving it that 3 teal number just to point it out. And I'll show you the settings for this right after I go through them. Just wanted to talk through exactly how I'm using each of these. So for this one, the inside candle, both get plotted as yellow with a yellow indicator, but if it is inside candle that opened and closed at a lower price, it'll be outlined in red. And if it's an inside candle that opened and closed at a higher price, it'll be outlined in this green here. So once again, keep your eyes on these 2 inside candles, and I will turn off the TheStratHelper just so you can see. So in this case, the inside candle here closed down, which is why it was red, and then this one closed up, which is why it was green. So I'm going to go ahead and show you all my settings for the TheStratHelper. I'm not going to talk through all of them because I just did, but just go ahead. You can take a screenshot of this, look at this. I will make a quick highlight. You can see I have the up and down unchecked because I don't want my twos plotted here. I plot them using a different tool, and that's just because literally I like the font of that tool, and I could put it up or down. I honestly could probably replace the 2 here with a, yeah, I could replace that with a U if I wanted, but you can see here the font is a little lighter, that little light green showing up. I obviously could change the color, but not the size of that plot, so I opt to get that from somewhere else. And if you go here, I don't have any of these checked. My input, it's show candle number, show candle colors. And visibility, I haven't touched any of this. So those are my settings for the TheStratHelper. I am going to go ahead to go to my indicators right now and pull up TheStratHelper. And again, just going to grab this link, and I will have this for you all in the description of this video so you can take a look there. I'll also say for all of these that I'm going through, you play around with what's your ideal configuration. I tend to, be a bit picky around what I like specifically, and the way I got there was, playing around with various settings and trying out different indicators, and when I come across something new, I'll still ultimately try it. So I say that to say, you don't need to copy this exactly. You can if you want, but just know that I ultimately am still iterating on it. So you should kind of think about, what your needs are. And some people don't need any of this and just, want to look at the charts completely raw. So that's fine as well. So yeah, here's the TheStratHelper and some more information on like various releases and, what it does. So I'll have that link for you all. Okay, next up is the candle type 2 up, 2 down. So if I go ahead and hide that, we'll see how this chart changes and what that's doing. So yeah, it looks like that is giving the 2 up, 2 down drawings, as well as some kind of highlights to, hey, pay more attention at this reversal that just happened. So you'll see there's a star plot. So this inside up, showing when we have an inside candle and, go a certain direction, up or down. In this case, inside up, inside up. We show 2-2 reversals. So this 2 down to 2 up, it's reversal. And then an outside up. So an outside candle, 3 going up. And of course, that would also plot in the opposite direction. I don't really look at these too much, but I like to have them there especially when I'm on the smaller time frames, because it'll just, make sure that I understand that to be a significant event, I understand it to be a reversal. Most of the times I do, because, I'm looking at what's happening from each candle to each candle, but I do like that, especially when looking back at trades, seeing where those were plotted. It's easy to kind of zero in on those. So that is the 2 up, 2 down. Let's go ahead and take a look at the settings for that. So you can see here I have the inside plot turned off, the outside O turned off, and then I have all of these reversal labels on, as well as the up and down below bar. And then for visibility, I didn't touch any of these settings. So there are your settings for 2 up, 2 down. And then last but not least, I have the Strat Assistant. I have volume here as well too, which are just these histogram looking bars down here. But let's talk about the Strat Assistant. So I'm going to toggle this visibility to off so we can see how this changes. Okay, yeah, so I'm pretty much just using the Strat Assistant for the time frame continuity widget thing. So this shows me that the week is green, the month is green, the quarter is green. And then the reason I like this one of these other ones has this too, and I had to turn it off. I think it's the TheStratHelper. And I ultimately didn't like it because it didn't give me the added layer of information to say, whether that was an outside or inside, indication. So in this case, this is an outside day that has time frame continuity of, being in a buyer state, in green, and it's telling me the quarter is inside. So that's why I like this. I'm also pretty sure it got more precise. It gets more precise than the other one does. So if I go down to a 3-minute chart and we take a look at that time frame continuity, it shows me the 15, the 30, the hour, the 4-hour. So it shows me, so when I'm in a live trading day and I'm looking for time frame continuity, one thing to remember is you don't necessarily need time frame continuity all the way through the quarter if you're taking a day trade. That's fun, it's definitely fun to look for those setups. I like to look for those setups, at least through the month, not necessarily through the quarter, but I look to have at least 4 time frames of continuity, a full time frame continuity. So in this case, if I'm at the 3-minute chart, charting a trade to, well, let's say the downside in this case, because the 15, the 30, the hour, and the 4-hour are all red, that is a good indication I can take that short. If I'm looking to take this long and I see all of that, I'm not going to do that unless, those flip. And as you can see here, it shows me that the 30 is outside as well. So that's why I like these. So the O tells you it's outside, the in tells you it's inside. And that I get from the Strat Assistant. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Strat Assistant settings. You can see I'm not using any of the plotting of the 1s and 2s. I am using, it does this too. It'll tell you if you have a hammer or a shooter. Wow, excuse me. It'll tell you if you have a hammer or a shooter, and it will plot that with a little flag and some text. So I have all of those on, and then all of the full time frame continuity indications are here. So I guess it shows you, it shows you the reversals and all of that as well. And I have all of that on. I don't always pay attention to it, but when it comes on like live, so for instance, this 3-minute here, it says there was a 2-2 bullish reversal. So if we look at this, my computer's having some trouble dragging the way I like it to. There we go. So I'm not going to play around with this anymore, but you can see clearly enough this was a 2 down, 2 up. The 2 down was green. 2 up stayed green as well, so that's a 2-2 bullish reversal, and it gives us a flag and indicates that. So yeah, the Strat Assistant does a lot, actually, and I do like having those sometimes when I'm on a 3-minute time frame and those things are moving a bit quicker. I'm going to go ahead and turn those opening range and average daily range indicators back on. And that is it. So I've gone through all of the indicators that I use, and I am now going to show what my setup looks like on a charting day and on a live trading day. So if I click this, that's going to toggle me back to my 4 kind of window pane setup. So using 4 windows is something that TradingView puts onto one of their paid plans. So unfortunately, you won't be able to do this unless you have a paid plan. However, it is very easy to toggle back and forth between, different views. And I'm pretty sure you can do at least 2 panes. And what my recommendation would be, if you can do 2 panes on the free plan, is to have one pane be your kind of live view, and the other, be the time frame higher up to that. So if you're doing day trading, I would say if you're not doing day trading, you probably don't even need 2 panes. You are doing day trading, make this like your daily, and make this your whatever time frame you're using to chart your entries and exits. And if you're a beginner, you should really be looking at the 30s and the 60s. And then, if you're a little more comfortable in scalping, at the morning or throughout the day, you can use lower time frames, the 5, the 3, the 1. So if you notice here on the day, the week, and the month, I don't have these lines. So I have all of that turned off, and I only have the TheStratHelper, the candle 2 up, 2 down, volume, and Strat Assistant on. So those 4 indicators are what I use on the time frames higher than the 4-hour. Typically, when I'm charting, this will be on the 4-hour. And that's because I like to plot entries off of the 4-hour. And I like to plot entries off of the daily as well. And then, the week as well. And I'm looking across all of these time frames for what is happening and what that means for, the strength of the moves. So in this case, Etsy, if we were to do a quick analysis on it, actually I'm going to choose one of the others because these green are what I'm looking at for next week. So let's look at pins, which means I've already plotted it. And I will have a separate video for the trades for, this upcoming week, but let's just, quickly do it to give some overview of how I use my indicators, and how I use TradingView. So in this case, Pinterest has a bullish RevStrat day setup, which means you are looking to take out the high of this 2 down at 56.92 and target the candle previous to the inside candle, which is 58.16. The reason I really love looking at the 4-hour is because there are sometimes potentially earlier entries into plays. So that bullish RevStrat that I'd look to get in at 56.92 and target options contract with a strike of 58. I could buy that 58 strike options contract a bit early at 56.66 and look for the 212 bullish reversal here. So we have a 2 down, an inside candle. If we cross this inside candle to the upside, we'd have a 212 bullish reversal. And the target for that would be 56.92, which is the entry for the daily RevStrat. If I keep going further than that, the daily RevStrat target is the entry for the weekly 22222 bullish continuation. So you look for 3 2 ups. This 2 up obviously ended red. However, that you can still look to go higher than this previous week's high, and that indicates a bullish continuation. In which case I plotted another, the 60.94 I plotted at the point we would have a 2-2 reversal, bullish reversal. But really what you'd be looking at there, this is a 3-2-2. So it's the same idea. If I have a 2-2 reversal, a 2 down, a 2 up, I'm looking for the target to be on the previous candle. But if it is a 3, we do call that a 3-2-2. So a 3, a 2 down or 2 up, and then a candle in the opposite direction. So if this goes 2 up, we'd be targeting all the way up here. And this is the point 60.94 that we'd be going 2 up over the previous month. So yeah, that's how I'm using these, and you can see it tells me, this is interesting. This is showing the month is down on this week here. But that's not true. The month is inside up. So I don't know what's going on with the week. But I have noticed sometimes that there are issues with that, so just be aware. I need to talk to TradingView actually, because if you notice, I have all of the numbers across the top, the open, the high, the low, the close, and it'll update those values as I roll over individual candles. And I cannot figure out how to get that onto this pane here. And sometimes it's not on this pane, but it's on this one. So I need to message TradingView about that and look in the comments for an update on that when I do that. But I think you get a good sense now of how I'm using the different time frames. I'm using my various indicators. For the 4 hour, I do leave these plotted, the opening range and the average daily range on. I'm not really using those for the 4 hour, but during a live trading day, here's what I do. I go down to 3 minutes. And now I'm using these on the 3 minute while still, keeping an awareness of is the week still, whatever color it is, what's my time frame continuity look like? Is the month still? Are we approaching a value? Obviously, I have all of these lines plotted, but I don't label them because that can get a bit messy. You can do that approach if you want, but I'd rather just have the day, the week, and the month up so I can see in real time, what target, what that line represents that we're approaching. If we're approaching it on, this 3 minutes. So I see here, okay, I'm not quite at 56.66, but I'm almost there. 56.92, I'm not at. What is that? So okay, 56.92 is when we trigger the daily rev strat. Okay, 56.66. If it's below what the daily trigger is, I know that that's my 4 hour trigger. And I always have my entries in blue and my targets in green. And sometimes I will put, if it's both in a target and an entry, I'll put 2 lines, one in blue and one in green. So yeah, that is my TradingView setup. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I'm going to go ahead and respond to those previous comments with the link to this video. And, if there are questions on how I use TradingView or how I set up my screen in the future, I'll very likely just use this video and say like, hey, skip to 2 minutes, skip to 1 minute, my answer's there. So again, thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.